Hey guys, welcome back to the Piston Show. I'm Casey Dillon and I'll be the host for this video as usual. Well, today we are driving the new Mazda CX5 diesel. This is the facelifted version, of course, which was introduced to Malaysia sometime in the early part of 2024. Now, when the car was first introduced and the facelifted model was first introduced, Burma's Auto basically said, dude, you know what, here's the key to the 2.5 high variant, the two-wheel drive version. You can just have it for a month. We had some fun with it. Really nice car, and you know, I think a lot more car makers should start doing that because it really gives you a proper insight into how the car feels, drives, you know, its fuel efficiency and the good and bad about the car. And recently they're just like, bro, you've not driven the diesel, right? Here's the key to the diesel, but you can't have it for a month. You can have it for a couple of days. I'm like, fine. I've never driven the diesel before. You know, I've never driven the facelifted diesel, the pre-facelift diesel, the previous generation diesel, nada. So this is my first time driving the diesel variant of the CX5, and I've really been looking forward to driving this car because I've never driven it. So, how does it feel? I kind of like it. It's not bad. It really highlights the benefits of a diesel powertrain, which is always a very nice equilibrium of power and efficiency. So the 2.2 diesel variant makes about 188 horsepower and about 400 plus Newton meters of torque, which if you flex your right foot, it gives you a proper shove into your seat. Nice, very nice. And then you start delving into the fuel efficiency levels and such, and then you start noticing that it is based on my driving style, and I've not really been on the highway much. I've just been in the city. It's giving me about 10.5, 11 kilometers per liter. But if you start doing your research about this car, some people claim 15 kilometers per liter, over 800 kilometers per full tank. So, which is just fantastic, right? But I've not seen it, so I can't verify that. Right now, I've not even done a quarter tank, and I still got a range of 457 kilometers, which roughly means that based on my current driving style, I should have a total range, assuming the tank was full, of about 600 plus kilometers. I'm not sure about you, but every time I need to refuel my Ford Ranger, I actively seek out a BH petrol station. Why? Because BH Petrol's Infinity Euro 5 diesel comes with a special diesel performance package that keeps your engine as well as your injectors clean. And if you keep using it over the long term, it basically keeps your engine at the maximum operating efficiency. And what this means is that over the long term, power loss is rated at less than 2%. That's even better than what the manufacturers recommend. And because BH Petrol's Infinity Euro 5 diesel comes with two variants, either in B7 or B10, it makes it perfectly adapted to just about any type of diesel engine out there, making BH Petrol's Infinity Euro 5 diesel the right choice. It comes with wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, which is fantastic. I've always liked the sound system in this car. Eminem's latest Houdini sounds really good in here. And then you start noticing that it comes with a wireless charge pad. It also comes with ventilated seats. Fantastic. The seats have been upgraded as well. So besides all of that, everything looks and feels the same. And the diesel variant is basically one of, if I'm not mistaken, 4 variants that are available for the Malaysian market. And it's not exactly cheap at just under 184,000 ringgit. which makes it the second most expensive CX5 after the 2.5 all-wheel drive. I need to check on that, but I think it's the second most expensive version. But the other thing that I think you will like about the diesel version is once you get on the highway, you can just ride the wave of torque. But at the same time, I'm really on the fence about this, because I am a owner of a Mazda CX5. I have the 2.5 turbo all-wheel drive variant. Well, it's my wife's car, it's the family's car and such, but I drive it almost on a daily basis. Oh, the other thing that I need to tell you is that the facelifted version of the diesel also gives you shifter pedals, so you have more control over how the car feels like and when it shifts gears and such. Back to the topic. And besides that, so when I have the coming from the perspective of a CX5 owner, you know, the car is very refined. Of course, 2.5 turbo, there's a lot of power. It's fuel thirsty, it's a fuel monster, but that's a different story. But the refinement levels in the 2.5 petrol version is fantastic. And then when you get in this car, after having driven the CX5 almost on a daily basis, you get into this car, you start to think that perhaps something is wrong. Because the thing about diesel engines is that clatter that you sound, that diesel clatter, you know, that noise that they make. Of course, the refinement levels in here is fantastic. But when you sit in a petrol version and you come and sit in the diesel version, you hear it. It's very audible, my friends. So that kind of annoys me. And then the other thing is, as soon as you start driving this, especially when you start driving it faster, you start noticing that the front end, the front of the car, just feels a little bit heavier. Which is a bit odd, because I come from an all-wheel drive car, which is generally heavier, you know, drive shaft and all. But then, when you start delving into the details, you'll notice that diesel engines are actually heavier, because they don't have spark plugs, and also they rely on, well, internal combustion, so they rely on pressure. So because they rely on that, so they need more metal, you know, to ensure that it doesn't explode to hell and heaven. So diesel engines are basically heavier than petrol engines, and you feel that with the 2.2 diesel, the Sky Active diesel, which is basically what this car is. So the front end generally feels heavier, and I just don't like the way the car drives. So even though it comes with GVC, Mazda's iconic GVC, which is supposed to make the car feel a lot nippier, so a little less steering input for more, for more agility, let's put it that way. So the car feels fantastic as long as, you know, it has a petrol engine up front. In the diesel though, if you've never driven a petrol variant, then you're probably thinking, yeah, it's fine, it feels good. And I can't blame you, because it generally does feel good. But coming from a person that owns a petrol version and drives it almost daily, this just sort of feels off. And then when you park the car and then you don't turn off the engine, you open the door, and then you get that racket, that diesel clatter, that noise. You're like, what the hell is going on? So, wow, I find it hard to wrap my head around. Now though, once you think about that, once you've gotten over all of that, then you start to do some research about the CX5 diesel, and you start to, you know, find all these horror stories of years gone by, of Mazda's problems with their diesel issues, diesel engine. Of course, all of that is ironed out already. All of that is properly ironed out. It's done. Okay? I've not read any issues among newer diesel engines, but then that's like a black cloud over Mazda's diesel history, right? Then you start to get scared lah. And then I'm reminded of the 1 month that I had with the 2.5G, because that the 2.5G two-wheel drive version, the third most expensive in Mazda CX5 lineup. And that was a very nice car. Of course, being a 2.5 road tax will be slightly on the more expensive side, but that was El phenomenon because it was hugely fuel efficient. It can basically run on, you know, anything, RON 95 I mean, and it will give you a range that is comparable to this diesel version, and I think it's just much nicer to drive. And that truly highlights the benefits of Mazda's GVC. It also comes with drive modes, which you don't get in this car. This car doesn't have drive modes, which is a bit of a bummer. So in that sense, I think I truly believe that Mazda's 2.5 two-wheel drive is a better buy than the diesel variant. I'm just going to say that. It's cheaper, it's just as fuel efficient. Petrol is still subsidized by the government. For how much longer, I'm not sure. You already see them putting out news about how, you know, the smugglers are now you know, shifting from diesel to petrol. Diesel is still subsidized. Why would they immediately swap to petrol? But you see that agenda. You know, sometimes you just need to look past everything they say lah. You can see that there is an agenda. It's a nice car, there's no doubt. They're basically identical from the inside, from the outside as well. The diesel as well as the 2.5 all-wheel drive and the 2.5 two-wheel drive all run on 19-inch wheels. From the outside they look identical, but once you start driving it, I think the petrol, the 2.5 two-wheel drive is a better buy. So I'm not sure if you can hear this, but this is what I mean, that diesel noise over here. So that kind of annoys me because, as I was saying, coming from the perspective of a current CX5 owner, I just find it very noisy and very industrial in that sense. Of course, it's a nice car to drive, it's refined and such, but so is the 2.5 two-wheel drive. As I said, it's cheaper, it's more refined, and the petrol version properly highlights Mazda's GVC technology, which just makes CX5s a very nice car to drive. When it comes to handling, no competitor can match Mazda, not in this segment. The CR-V does not have handling like the Mazda. Toyota, worlds apart. Nissan is not even in the same league when it comes to handling, ride and handling. Proton, no, not even close. Mazda's GVC technology is amazing. You have to drive it to believe it. So that's what I really like about Mazdas. They're just very nice cars to drive. But because the diesel engine is a little bit heavier than its petrol counterparts, it sort of just meddles with that technology, meddles with the handling of the CX5. Of course, as I said earlier, if you've never driven a petrol version, this will feel very nice. There's no doubt about it. But trust me on this, the petrol versions are nicer to drive. The 2.5 two-wheel drive has the same levels of efficiency as the diesel engine, and it's really powerful as well. In my opinion, the Mazda CX5 2.5 two-wheel drive is a nicer car, it's cheaper, and I think a much better handling and better refinement. So if you're in the market for Mazda CX5, that's the car that you want. The diesel, yeah, maybe not. Thank you for watching. As usual, do consider subscribing.